But yeah, one way to actually kind of put that to a test, I mean, just in case you don't believe me or something, uh, if you have the PlayStation version of the game, what you can do is just load it up in an emulator, and the way you can test this is, assuming that you're using a graphics plugin that allows you to configure stuff like this, what you can do is just make sure that Sprite, you know, I'm going to go in there. But yeah, just make sure that, you know, sprite smoothing is actually off, or sprite filtering, whatever it would be called. And just make sure that texture filtering, though, is on. And the reason that you'll want to do that is because sprites are, of course, going to be just like, you know, the bitmaps themselves, whereas you know, the textures are going to be anything that's actually on a 3D, you know, model, whether it be like a character or, you know, an environmental element or something like that. But if you actually have sprite filtering off and you turn texture filtering on, you'll notice that whenever you know, play the game, you're going to notice that all of your character sprites, as well as a lot of the even some of the background elements and whatnot, those are actually going to be, you know, still filtered, so they are actually 3D models. But yeah, I mean, if this was a full 2D game, I mean, it's not even as though, you know, some of these things couldn't have been faked in 2D. I mean, because a lot of them really could have. You know, everything from like the save coffin to, you know, like different effects, like with either like background buildings, like that I'm thinking of in Allrox's quarters, as well as there's the clock tower that you can see in the background as you're going to you know, up into the keep. I mean, just stuff like that. It's stuff that really could have been faked pretty easily in 2D, but you know, for some reason, I mean, they just basically tried to, you know, shoehorn this game onto the Saturn, and I mean, they got decent results out of it. You know, I mean, this is easily my favorite version of the game, mostly because it's really the most complete, but, you know, at the same time, it could have been better. That's not what I want. I'll just save up here, and then since we still have our stopwatch, we're actually going to go back into the marble gallery, and I'm going to go up the right side of the that big clock there, and then we'll go up the left side right after that. We need the stopwatch to open up the right side. But in either case, yeah, kind of getting back to the discussion about the you know, this version of the game versus, like, you know, the other versions that exist. The reason I really like this one is, again, it's the most complete one, no matter how you look at it. The PSP version, I mean, it really, you know, could have been something great, but it ultimately wasn't, because, I mean, frankly, you know, they kind of wasted time on stuff that really didn't need to be, you know, changed in any way. Namely, the voice acting, which, I mean, I know that it's technically better, but I mean, it's just basically, it sounds like someone went through a freaking thesaurus or something like that, and then just, like, replaced a bunch of words, and I mean, it just sounds like really, like, stilted and everything like that. I mean, the old voice acting, yeah, it was horrible, but I mean, it was, like, so bad it's good, so I mean, it's decent. But yeah, I mean, they basically focused on stuff that, again, really didn't need to be changed, and they could have, they really could have gone to, you know, greater, you know, depths to actually complete the game. I mean, the main problem I have with it is, like, you know, sure, I understand that the, you know, the haunted prison isn't the best level, you know, ever conceived or anything like that, but, you know, what about the underground garden? I mean, that's something that should be there. Because, I mean, really, you know, if you go into the PlayStation version, you can get down into that area, and there's just a save point. But it's like, you know, why not put something there? I mean, why bitch about something that, you know, a less talented development team might have thrown together when you didn't try to do shit yourself? So, I mean, really, I would have to say that, again, even though some of the original content in this version doesn't really measure up to what, you know, was already in the game, you know, it was still a, you know, a nice attempt, and I mean, really, I think that this version has a lot of nice tweaks and additions to it. And yeah, this is, like I said, this is definitely my favorite, Castlevania game of all time, as far as, like, even the, even this version of it. And in fact, I mean, this is probably my favorite game of all time, period. I mean, it's really not even about just nostalgia, it's actually more so, the game's just, I mean, it did so many things right, it added so many new things. Oh, here we go. I'm going to open that up. Turn into wolf form, turn back, hold down and hit jump, and then up we go. Now, these items here, they're basically decoys, but the interesting thing about them is they do increase your luck a lot whenever they're all equipped. So, what is kind of nice about them is that if you were to, you know what, I'm going to just continue on that way. I kind of didn't want to have this stopwatch, but I'll go anyway. I can get something else. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you can basically use those items and, just increase your luck a lot, and that way you'll get, much better enemy drops and everything like that. Like, you can get, usually, better chances of getting certain weapons and everything from enemies. But yeah, in either case, though, yeah, this is really, easily, like, my favorite game of all time, and, the main reason that, and I know this is something that's commonly debated, like, oh, well, this game's better, that game's better, it's always kind of bothered me, because I don't understand, some of the reasoning behind it. I mean, like, a lot of people think that, stuff like Aria of Sorrow is actually better. I'll admit, some games have come close, but I mean, I've always just found a lot of flaws in, the newer iterations in the series, and I would say, and I know I'm gonna probably get a lot of flack for this, but I would say probably the one that for me has actually come the closest in terms of besting Symphony of the Night is actually probably Portrait of Ruin. Just because, I mean, I felt that it had a nice balance of action and just the game in general. I mean, I felt that it was really well done. There were a lot of other installments in the series that, I mean, they're always heralded by fans, but it's, I don't know, I guess I just don't feel the same way about them. Just to kind of go through them a little bit, obviously the first one that really, tried its hand at besting Symphony of the Night was, Circle of the Moon, which, I mean, wasn't a bad game per se, I guess, for the time. I mean, it was amazing for a portable Castlevania game at the time, but I mean, it just, it had so many things working against it. I mean, now, granted, I can't show you this right now, but I'll be able to show you later in the game. Just little things like how you run and everything in the game. It's like, in that game, everything was just like so, just like rigid, and it just, didn't flow well at all. And, I mean, your character obviously, like, walked slow as hell, basically. So then you're pretty much forced to run, but you can only run by double tapping forward. Whereas, like, in this game, for instance, you can actually press back forward. And honestly, I think that practically every single, well, unless I'm mistaken, I'm pretty sure that every other Castlevania game that has the option of either walking or running, I'm pretty sure that they work the same way. But it's, it was just always really, distracting for me. I could never really get into the game because, I would be, I'd be trying to evade enemies or something like that, or make a jump, and it's like, it's just really distracting because you can't even just, like, immediately press another direction and change direction smoothly. It's like you actually had to double press forward again whenever you turned around, and it just felt like total shit, to be perfectly honest. And also, there was, I just didn't feel that the progression was very good. I mean, it's like, I play Castlevania games like this because I like to get new abilities from time to time, and it's like, in Circle of the Moon, you feel like you're progressing, and then all of a sudden, it's like, you just went down a really long dead end, essentially, and got a fucking heart max up. It's fucking stupid. But, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I understand a lot of people like the game. Frankly, I thought it was garbage. I mean, I guess it was a good game for its time, like I said, but it definitely hasn't aged well. But, ah, damn it. That was a bit of a waste, but,